Oh, hey guys, welcome to Max's Models After Hours. I decided that was a little bit more appropriate name, something about Max's Model Shed After Dark. You know, the silence of the lambs. Anyway, I'm just sitting here dusting off a couple of models. I use a paintbrush to do it. Now, these are models that I used for the Midway video I did a while back. Oh, by the way, real quick, I had to do a mea culpa and 10 Hail Marys to the history gods for brain farting and calling this a Val. This is a Kate torpedo plane and level bomber. This is a Val. And I thought you guys might find this a little interesting. When I was doing the green screen, when I first started doing a chroma key with the models and everything, because I'm a wannabe Steven Spielberg, and I even made 8mm films as a kid, and some of you probably seen my little Verbox vs. Godzilla, home movie, which I did a year or so ago. That it's all just scratching that creative itch. But one thing I learned real quick, obviously, you green screen or you blue screen the subject. You can use really any color but black or white or gray, but a stark color like red or green or blue stands out best. But one of the things I discovered was, if you look at most of my Battle of Midway models, all of them have frosted canopies. They're covered in dull coat. And the reason is, when I started doing it, the clear canopies, anything that reflects light is going to cause problems for the chroma key. And things are going to be keying out that you don't want. You wind up having to go into a different editing software and like erase, put masks and stuff over, but if the thing's moving, you got to frame by frame. It's a nightmare. You ever watch a lot of CGI movies? At the end, there are literally lists of hundreds of names of people who worked as the CGI artist, and a lot of it's done overseas because obviously the labor is less expensive, even though their technical abilities are every bit as good. More money does not equal a better movie, and I think we all can testify to have seen some big dollar films that were total flops. So anyway, getting back to the chroma key, obviously you can't green screen this airplane because of the dark green, so you'd have to blue screen it. Now, you can blue screen anything that doesn't have blue in it, but if you do humans, apparently one of the reasons a green screen is so popular is the human flesh tones have no green tint to them at all, whereas apparently there are some blue tints that will affect how you see us. So they like to use green for people, but for machinery, or you can use blue screen if you like. So I'd have to blue screen this one. In fact, I'd have to blue screen all the Japanese aircraft that had, any aircraft that had the green in it. Now, one of the problems is that a lot of airplanes have green, blue, and a lot of the other bright colors like red that you might use as a chroma key. Like you're doing a Spitfire in British markings. I mean, well, the roundel itself is red, white, and blue. Then you got the green camouflage, so it's very difficult to chroma key something like that. Well, I mean, I'm sure Hollywood can do it, but I'm sitting here doing this on my home PC, which locks up a lot doing it. So anyway, if you have to dust these things off, paintbrushes are a nice way to do it. But so because of course all of this is just in good-natured fun. It's not a big deal. I think I'm going to start calling the morning event just morning coffee with Max's Models, and this will simply be Max's Models After Hours. And Cafe Max's Models sounds a little, maybe just a little pretentious, but we're always having fun. You guys have sent me a whole bunch more pictures. I really need probably today get cranking on the viewer video. I've got hundreds of photos and all different kinds of subject matter. So anyone who sent something, I'm going to make sure at least everyone gets at least a picture in there. But some folks sent one photo, some folks sent 100 photos. So it's just a matter of sifting through. So we'll get on that. No big deal. And if you want to keep sending pictures, that's fine. Another time we'll just do another video or whatever. We'll see where the winds of fate take us. And the Midway video, when I captured a lot from the video game IL 240 1946. although I really prefer to use models. The next one, I'm going to get some more models, because the next one I'd rather describe what happened and just hold a model or have it sitting on the desk in front of me, use some archival photos, and probably try to get away from the video game animations unless I can get some high quality ones, because the idea is to make it enjoyable but also to educate. And when you see some of my horrible special effects, I mean, they're enough to make you chuckle. And but I'm afraid it kind of takes people out of it. It almost has an unwanted comedic tone to it, and something like that's far too serious for that. So let's see. I need to get cracking on painting the Jolly Green. I've got to glue this other sponson on it too. I had physical therapy today, so I just got home a while ago. I left shortly after I did the morning show, and or coffee or whatever you call it. Not a show, but I did a little more reading on the acrylics and stuff. I put some links on that. A lot of some of you guys are saying that you really had better luck with enamels, and that's what I suspect. I think everything comes at a cost. Acrylics are probably a little easier to use in a lot of ways, although there's something to be said that enamels maybe flow better through a spray gun. You guys can talk about that. But I am inclined to think that enamels give a better, more permanent job, because acrylics can scratch off pretty easy. And the whole joke about the vampire thing was this, one of the viewers had said, is there a vampire outside your door? I'm sure I saw one, because you're doing it at night. And I was like, so last night that was a whole, but I'm sure there's no vampires. It's not like Godzilla's waiting out the door for me. I'd hear him coming. But I am thinking that perhaps, let me put this over there too. Midway links together. I was asked to do would I like to do some build videos, and most folks have said, nah, not really, because there's so many of those out there. But I have done some basically build montages, and build videos are great. I mean, but they're just, I don't know. It just seems like that's doing what everybody else has been doing. I just kind of like this relaxed format. We're not on any schedule. I've been trying to put out 1 or 2 things a day. I hope I'm not saturating the internet. The interweb hasn't called with any complaints yet, but you never know. But try to retain my sanity. Oh, there is something I did want to give you a closer look at. The space station. Some folks that asked some questions about it. So I have all the parts to it. Here's what's left of the frame in one capsule, and you can see the very small attach points. And when you put the two of them together, it just doesn't have much to hold on to. But you're right. So what I would like to do is probably lay out some green screen and behind this. And somebody had said, why don't you like dangle it from strings like a debris field, and then run one of your model spaceships through it. So that might make a fun video project. But something else you can do is simply hang one on a string and videotape it, maybe just rotating in front of a green screen, and then you can put all the debris field, you can build the debris field up layer over layer, give you a little more flexibility. Although I do love practical effects. There's something about hanging all the stuff there and just having a model go through it. That's I don't know, it's just very old school Jerry Anderson. I guess I have a kind of a childish romantic attachment to those old ways of doing things. And I've seen some of the behind the scenes photographs of shows like UFO and the Moonbase shows, and when you watch them today, a lot of the special effects actually do hold up pretty well. But when you see the work they went into, those guys were just having too much fun. I mean, they took what they did very seriously. But the whole skydiver launch scene and the interceptors taking off and all that stuff was the Anderson crew, the guys at ITC. They just had a lot of heart. I think that's one of the reasons we enjoyed the show so much. I guess I was about 3 years old, so it'd have been around 64, 65, maybe a little older, when Stingray was on, and the you know, as a little kid, you're just like, and those things still have a pull on us today. I mean, we still talk about it. There's still like models of it and everything. And you look at a lot of these shows, UFO only went one season. I don't think Stingray went that many. You know, stand by for adventure. Anything can happen in the next 30 minutes. And I don't know. Maybe it was the time. I almost feel sorry for kids today. They are exposed to so much so fast that they're really not impressed by much. A TV show I really enjoyed. There was a spinoff of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a cute show in its own right. Oop.
You have a phone call. You have a phone call.
Okay, that's a toll-free number. That's no doubt a solicitor or spam. They can leave a message. I'm talking to people that matter here, by golly. So the follow-on show, Angel, with David Boreanaz, I think it was David Boreanaz, but if I didn't butcher that last name, it is. Anyway, they had an episode where this mystical creature from the past called Saigon comes in, and he comes into an office and like materializes right in front of the woman. And of course, at this point, people have seen so much of the supernatural. He's like, "Oh, I am Saigon," and the lady's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And he's like, "Gosh, are all you people in the 20th century so jaded?" I was like, sadly, it's kind of gotten like that. You know, you just, people aren't impressed with the awe of things anymore. And the kid, you know, say, "Hey, you want to build a model?" And I'm like, "But it's all in pieces." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the idea. You build it." Nah, I'm gonna play a video game. I'm like, "Oh God, somebody please get that dagger out of my back." But this way. It was pointed out I don't have enough armor, and I agree I don't, but you can never have too many tanks. But I do have this Tacoma Rata. Now, I chopped this one up. You know, it's got the post-war iron crosses on it because I used it in my new Godzilla movie. In fact, you can still see a burn mark from one of the smoke bombs I used on it. I had cut out the bottom, and I had a little tiger tank, a little RC tiger tank, but that long that I stuck in there and had it move that way, and that way I could drive it around on the set, which was a sheet of plywood, and I could move the RC Godzilla. But it turned out to be so problematic, and then I had put this hook on the bottom so that I could elevate the gun. I could basically puppeteer the tank, but I never got it to move. I could never get it to move smoothly. There's just too much friction. I used Vaseline and gun oil and everything else to try and lubricate the surface so that I could move the turret real slow, and get my finger up under there with a piece of thread so I could elevate the gun. There's a little stick right, the little stem right there, see, so I can elevate the gun and puppeteer the tank. I'm a tank puppet. But it didn't look good, and the little RC tank was just a little problematic. It would lose traction. So I wound up just putting some string on, some monofilament or fishing line around the turret, and just dragged it real slowly. And I figured, yeah, that stuff's so small you won't see it. And of course, it reflected light. So in some of the scenes, you see these two big wires. I'm like, man, I was deliberately going for a little bit of camp, but even by my standards, that was not really good. But I may use it again at some point. This is not a difficult kit to build, but I thought about actually putting rolling wheels on it and motorizing it. But I was like, it's only got a couple of minutes of screen time, and I have no budget and quite frankly no patience for that. But the kit certainly got enough void space, and it's big enough. If somebody wanted to, you could motorize one of these, make a little RC out of it, which I think I just gave myself a bad idea. Now that I'm in the model building mode, I'm like, ooh. But, anyway, that was a whole bunch of fun, and had a good time with it. Had a good time with it. Let's see. Well, that's about all there is for tonight's episode. I'm going to start getting cranking on the Stuka and the Jolly Green. Get that other sponson glued on it, and then go ahead and get the shell painted. And I test fitted the cockpit last night. I can get it in and out without any trouble. Oh yeah, that's it. I still got to clean up that little seam line right there. Well, guys, you take care of yourselves, and we will see everybody out in YouTube land. Demon, he's denied. Not now. I'm busy.